Hey everyone, welcome to a new video and welcome to 2026. Today's video is about tips to help you build a better wardrobe. Maybe it's your New Year's resolution, maybe you just want to be smarter about what you bring into your closet. Whatever the case may be, whenever you find this video, I think these tips are going to be very helpful. Helpful right now, this year, where we are, but also like they're pretty timeless tips. None of it's dependent on like trends or anything like that. So without belaboring the point, let's get into it. I have my handy dandy notes here because I took notes for this. See if it makes a difference. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do in order to build a better wardrobe is to identify your personal style. And that can feel like a challenge in and of itself. It can be really, really difficult to say like, what is my aesthetic, my style? And this is actually a huge part of what's happening right now in the fashion industry as well. People are kind of saying like, we're in a post-trend dressing era, and then they proceed to tell you all the trends that are coming in 2026. So, but timeless style is personal style. So while this is a challenge, I think there are ways that you can help yourself figure it out. It is a process, it's an evolving thing, but there are some easy ways to do this. So I really recommend looking at influencers like I think Beltempo is her name. I'll try and link her, but she is really, really great at explaining like elements of style, and she's got some really great frameworks and ways of helping. So I would suggest watching some of her videos on how to find your personal style. Think about things like, what era do you love, what speaks to you, what makes you feel comfortable and confident, and just really spend some time looking through pictures of yourself as well. That should help you kind of identify like, what are the things that you gravitate towards? Identifying your personal style will obviously help you sort of identify the pieces that you're going to be looking for, but it'll also help you kind of understand like, okay, what is my base uniform? What is like the starting point where I feel most comfortable? I know that kind of my style in summer is a wide-legged pant and a button-up shirt. That's like my go-to. Either it's closed and half tucked in, or it's open with a tank top underneath. Like, pretty much every single day I wear a variation of that. Maybe yours is a skirt and a top. Like, just try and identify what your uniform is, because that is going to be sort of your core elemental base, and it's yours. It's not somebody else's list of 15 things you need for your core closet. It's your uniform will dictate what is core and elemental to your closet. So it's kind of a very important first step in understanding how to build a better closet. Tip number 2. Know your closet. Spend time with your clothes. And the best way to do this is to go through your closet twice a year. I tend to do a fall-winter switchover and a spring-summer switchover. It depends on your climate and where you are in the world. You might even choose to do this more times than that. Maybe you do it 3 to 4 times a year, like you do it each season. So you swap in those pieces that maybe aren't quite as seasonal, like the summer clothes that aren't really spring clothes, you know what I mean? Like, those things exist. So again, it depends on your climate, but I think at least twice a year, go through your closet and look at, what do I have for the season? What is no longer speaking to me or doesn't fit? Try things on if you're not sure. What needs to be mended? Part of building a good closet is, and we'll talk about it a little later, but is taking care of your clothing. What do I feel like I really am excited to wear? What am I really, really interested in? Really spend time looking at what you have and getting to know the pieces in your closet. If you have an extremely large closet and it feels overwhelming, then maybe it is time to get rid of a few things. I mean, this is really helpful in like taking things out of rotation. Put your spring and summer things away. Put them away, and just keep your fall and winter clothing out and ready to go, because that will help like make it easier to find things, and it will also help create some excitement when it's time to bring out those pieces that you've put away. I don't know, there's something about swapping over my closet in spring and summer. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. And it's like a little bit of a discovery each time I bring them out again. So that can be really fun. There are going to be pieces that are year round. And actually, I really pride myself on having a closet that is pretty year round. I mean, obviously my heavier sweaters are for winter, and my like light flowy tops are for summer, but generally speaking, the bulk of my closet is a year-round closet. And that's because a lot of the pieces I have work together really well and they layer. And I actually think trying to get mostly a year-round closet is the indication that you've gotten a really good closet that works in almost all situations and seasons. Tip number 3 is to find inspiration. The internet is full, as you clearly know, the internet is full of YouTubers and Instagrammers and TikTokers and whatever. Everybody's out there giving you ideas about how you can wear your clothes. The world is full of inspiration, but you don't have to just look to social media. You can look on the runways. This is the idea of trends and what are the fashion designers showing, what's going to be filtering into, the mainstream stores that most of us shop at. That's a great way to look at things. And just because it's on the runway, it doesn't mean that you have to copy it one for one. Again, we'll talk about that, but the runway can be a source of inspiration. Then you have art. Art can be a source of inspiration. Maybe you see a color combination in a painting that you just really love. Why not try and recreate that with your outfit? You don't have to create the painting, but the inspiration can just be colors or textures, or maybe it is somebody you see online, or maybe it's somebody you see on the street. I mean, what is more wearable than somebody wearing an outfit on the street? And if you like it, well, see what you can do. Maybe don't take their picture without asking, or I don't know, but there's lots of things out there that can serve as inspiration for us. It doesn't just have to be YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I occasionally scroll through Pinterest and I click looks that I really enjoy. So yeah, I would say start collecting inspiration. Again, it doesn't have to be literal inspiration, just things that make you happy or intrigue you, make you feel something. Those are things that you should collect and hold as inspiration for when you do the next thing. Tip number 4 is play with your closet. So like I said, you need to know your closet, but it's not enough to just look at it and kind of think oh yeah, I have that. You need to play with it. And this is kind of where 2 and 3 come together, is you need to spend time in your closet. You need to play with your closet and take time to look at that inspiration and try to recreate it with what you already have. So again, I do these 5 ways to wear it videos. Every time I bring something new into my closet, I spend time thinking about, can I make at least 5 significantly different outfits? And I also really try and think about, is it just a summer outfit, or can I make a fall version of this outfit? And that talks a lot to that seasonality or seasonlessness of a lot of my wardrobe pieces. The ability to know that it's going to take me from spring to winter, So I think that's a really important part of it, is have a rule. Either it's 3 outfits you have to be able to create easily. Maybe it's 1 for each season, although I think that can be a little tricky because again, some pieces really are just for spring and summer. Some really are just for fall and winter, or for the holidays, things like that. There are exceptions to this rule. But like I said, my rule is generally I have to create 5 outfits. I heard somebody say that that's kind of pretty stringent, and I was like, really? It shouldn't be that hard. And they don't have to be astronomically different. You can add and take away things, but it lets you kind of think about what do I already have? How will this work in my closet? Is it something I can get a lot of wear out of? And then take pictures of those things so you can refer back to them. Again, this is about collecting inspiration and playing with inspiration. And it just gets you comfortable with building outfits and helps you see what you like and don't like. Playing with your closet is also a really great way to identify gaps. So if you are maybe taking those, you found 3 inspiration pictures that you have for this winter and you want to spend some time recreating them, and you keep running into this thing of I don't have a brown belt, and I just don't think the black one I have is really working, and randomly I have a green belt but it's just not working. Maybe you need to look for a brown belt. Maybe that's a thing you need. Or maybe you really find yourself drawn to blue and you just don't have any blue, and it's, you can recreate these outfits with these other colors, but you really like the blue and you don't have anything blue. Well, that might be a gap in your closet that you want to fill. As you're playing with your closet and you're identifying those gaps, you can then start to do tip number 5, building a closet shopping list. This is such a key thing and will help keep you focused. It's You know how they say don't go into the grocery store without a list, especially if you're hungry? I think it's kind of the same way with clothing. I think that if you don't have any idea about what you need and then you go shopping, you're just gonna kind of get drawn into things that are just maybe sparking interest in the moment, and you get overwhelmed and you're like, oh my God, the butterfly top. I hate butterflies, but maybe you do. Maybe you like butterflies, so you're like, oh my God, the butterfly top. Like, I love it, I want it. And then you get it home and you're like, this goes with nothing. You know, what was I thinking? You can get really pulled into impulse purchases if you don't have a really defined shopping list. I'm not saying you can never go off the list, but it's very helpful to have a list. So like, I know on my list right now, I need a black long line wool winter coat. Ideally it's double-breasted. Ideally it has military accents. This is like, I know exactly what I want, and I've been needing this for a couple of seasons now. Like, it's a gap I've identified over the last 2 years. I don't know if I'm going to get it this year, but I know exactly what I'm looking for. And so that is really helpful, because now whenever I go someplace and I look at coats, I'm like, do I really love that gray check print coat? I do, but I need the black one. The black one serves my wardrobe better. I've identified that gap. I've known it for a few years. So things like that. Some things to add to your shopping list that might go past those like gap pieces. You can also add like statement pieces, maybe things that aren't quite like as versatile in your closet, but that you feel really speak to your personality and help create just a little bit more specialness to an outfit. These should be timeless pieces again to you, something you know you're gonna love that's core to your personality, but they might just be a little bit less of a basic or essential, and they might just be a bit more of like personality pieces or styling pieces, things that are just a bit more statement-y. It's okay to throw some of those in there. Like, you should have a few of those on your list as well, because if all we have is our basics, like that gets, you know, it can feel really mundane and frustrating. So maybe you are somebody who is an all black dresser, but your version of a statement top is something that's got some like crazy texture to it, or some like really interesting architectural stuff. For me, it's like, I really want a cobalt blue coat or a mustard yellow coat, like something that's really like, it's core to my style, and that's like probably a very tailored, structured coat, but it's in a bright color. And I used to have this yellow coat like that I wore all the time. It was a statement piece. It was a staple in my closet. Is it like a basic or an essential? No, like the black coat is. The yellow or the blue coat, because they don't go with absolutely everything all the time, I don't really consider them essentials, but I do consider them statement pieces. And so in addition to my essentials, I will also throw in a couple of statement pieces that I really want, that'll just add some fun to my closet and some more personality. And then I will also add in a very small number of more trend pieces, things that feel a little experimental to me. And I'm not gonna spend a lot of money on these, and I'm not gonna go down every trend rabbit hole, but fashion is a form of self-expression, and you are an evolving person, and your personal style probably will evolve a little bit as well, and it can expand, and fashion is fun. You should have fun with it. So I think you need to carve out a little bit of your shopping list for experimentation with some more maybe trendy pieces. This is also helpful when we are thinking about updating our style. So again, like, yeah, I love a wide-legged pant and a button-up top, but maybe the silhouettes of those things change a little bit, or maybe I experiment with a cropped wide-legged pant. Maybe I experiment with an oversized button-up shirt versus maybe a more slim fit shirt, you know? I think that there are ways to test out trends and to intentionally test out trends by including some key pieces on the shopping list, but it should not make up the bulk of your shopping list. It should be an intentional decision to experiment with what is sort of on the cusp, or what is popular or of the moment. But again, your key to having a good closet is that the vast majority of your closet should be grounded in your personal style. And because you are you, that is mostly going to stay the same throughout your life, even though you might bring in some fun pieces here and there, and like you'll adjust and you'll tweak things and you'll evolve, but The chances are that if you are somebody who really likes wearing black all the time right now, you're probably going to feel that way in 50 years from now. I will never not love a high-waisted, wide-legged pair of pants. I might choose to wear them less and incorporate more silhouettes as fashion changes and evolves and I want to feel current, but they will always exist in my closet, especially in summer. So that's kind of what I mean. Like, make sure you have those 3 tiers. You have the elemental pieces, the core basics of your closet, individualized to your personal style. The statement pieces that are a bit more fun, but still fit well within your own personal style and personal tastes. And then a few key trend pieces that allow you to experiment with what's current and coming. Oh, I gotta shift again. My butt's falling asleep. Should have poured myself a drink for this conversation. Oh well. Okay, tip number 6 is to resell your clothing, especially if you've got higher end pieces or if things are still in good condition. But honestly, even if it's like a $50 Gap sweatshirt that you've had for 3 years and isn't like too bad, you can probably resell that for $5 on Poshmark. Like, you probably can. And so wouldn't you rather get that $5 back than $0? Why not resell your clothing? I started doing it this year. I've got a Poshmark store. I started putting up a couple of tops that I have bought from Cezanne over the years. Like, I think probably like 5 or 6 years ago, I sold some of my first pieces from Cezanne that just aren't really fitting me anymore or that I'm just not really loving. And I decided to move them along. And Cezanne's not super expensive, but it's not cheap. And because those clothes were in good condition, I was able to recoup some money back from them. And maybe it was only like 30% of what I bought them for. But if you buy an $80 top and you get 30% back on that, you know, like that's $24 that you got back. So why wouldn't you want that? And then you can take that money and you can reinvest it into your closet. This is a great way to create sort of this cycle of capital. Like, if you want to think about money as capital, like maybe you budget $100 a month for clothing. Okay. Maybe you buy a t-shirt for $50 and you wear it for 5 years but it's still in good condition and it still really, you know, fits nice. You've taken care of it. You haven't like overworn it and stretched it out. Somebody else can get use out of that. And if they buy it from you for $5, now you have $105 for that month. Really take the time to resell. It's more sustainable in terms of materials and the environment. It's also helping reinvest into your closet. So one of the things, it can feel really expensive to build a high quality closet because wool, silk, cotton, like some of this stuff is not cheap. And also like higher quality designers who have better construction, which means that the clothing is also going to last longer, is not necessarily cheap. Getting your shoes resold, it's cheaper oftentimes than buying new shoes, especially if they're high quality shoes, but it's still not cheap. So I think, you know, where you can, definitely recoup that money and then reinvest it. Tip number 7, a quality closet is going to be built on quality materials. I will almost categorically will not buy polyester anymore. There are some limited exceptions, but for the most part, I look for natural fibers. Of course, we all know like wool, cashmere, silk, linen, cotton, you know, those materials. But there are other materials that are derived from natural materials. They do go through a bit more of a process, but they retain a lot more of those qualities, significantly more than polyester. So things like viscose could be more sustainable. Lyocell, I forget what it is. I have some pants that are made out of it, and it's like bamboo is another good one. That's pretty natural material. I found one called Rami the other day, and I think that's actually supposed to be a pretty sustainable material. But when you're browsing things, really read the label. And if you don't know what a material is, look it up and read about it and understand like what are the qualities. Understanding the fabric content of your clothing is also really important to knowing how to care for it. If you're not literate in terms of understanding the materials that are in your closet, it's going to be really hard to take care of your closet. So you need to understand like, what is linen? How should I care for it? How should I take care of silk? Can I wash this silk? Or how should I wash this silk so I can wash it? Like, You also don't have to take everything to the dry cleaners. So if you understand materials and how to do it at home, you might be able to save some money there by not taking everything to the dry cleaners. I take most things that are dry clean only to the dry cleaner because I have screwed it up a few too many times. But you know, I'm working on it. I'm still learning a lot. There are materials that I just don't know anything about. I also want to say that not all synthetic materials are bad. Nylon, I think, is actually a really great synthetic material. I really, really enjoy it. It can serve a purpose like waterproofing things. So while I really want a wool coat, I would be looking for a wool coat that is minimum of 70% wool and cashmere blend, but it could contain some nylon in it because that would help with some waterproofing and some water resistance. And so there is a purpose sometimes for more synthetic materials. They can help, and they do bring the price point down a little bit. So yes, 100% wool jacket might be water repellent, but 70% with some nylon in it, also totally fine. As long as you need to kind of figure out where your markers are, but I prefer and pretty much won't buy anything that doesn't have a minimum of 70% natural fibers. Again, there are certain exceptions, things that are viscose, things that are ramie. I actually don't mind rayon so much, but it depends on what the piece is. If you're a vintage shopper, unfortunately polyester is a little unavoidable, especially if you're looking at some of things in like the 70s, but for the most part, we don't need it today. There's a few exceptions. I have a couple of polyester skirts from Zimmermann and Cult Gaia. You know, the polyester skirt is a mini skirt. I know it's still going to be breathable. Is it perfect? No, but I knew I wasn't going to be like overheating in polyester. If there's one thing that has really helped me shop with more intention and pick better pieces that last longer and that hold their shape better, it's definitely being more literate about the materials that go into making clothes. That was tip number 7. Did I say that was tip number 6? I don't know where we are. Okay, my list says we're on tip number 8. And I've touched on this a little bit already, but tip number 8 is to invest in the maintenance of your closet. That means having it professionally dry cleaned once or twice a year, go do that. You know, you can comb the wool, like you can learn to comb the wool and the cashmere on your sweaters and debobble it if you need to. Like, spend some time learning how to do that. Spend some time learning how to mend, stitching up small holes or things like that. That's really helpful. Taking your shoes to get resoled. So I pretty much only purchase leather shoes now, and I do invest in having those resoled every couple of years because guess what? The leather upper is fine. I just walk everywhere, and so I need to have them resoled from time to time. And then I also have them, you know, oiled and weatherproofed and things like that. Does it cost me, like I got 2 pairs of boots done this fall before like the winter set in, and it cost me about $120, $130. Now you might be like, that's a whole new pair of shoes. Yes, but I got 2 shoes back in great condition that will last me for another several years before I have to have them resoled. If I had just kept buying like a new pair of shoes all the time, like I would be throwing away money on like new shoes when I could just invest a little bit and keep the shoes I currently have and love going, and they can last for many, many years. You can resole your shoes a lot. So, you know, that in particular, I think resoling shoes is a really, really important thing for people to start thinking about. Like, buy higher quality leather shoes, have them resoled, because you will save money in the long run. You can also spend money and time having things altered and like redone and upcycled. So maybe you have a pair of pants you really like, but they're not quite fitting you anymore. You can have people go in and do some kind of alterations, maybe add a little strip of something down the side, you know, like a tuxedo stripe, but in a contrasting fabric. Or maybe things are too big for you. You can have things taken in, or talk to a tailor. Like, find somebody who can help repair your clothing, alter your clothing, take care of your shoes, punch that extra hole in the belt. Like, you can do that, I promise you. Like, just take care of your clothing. And this, when you're looking through it, notice maybe there's a hole because a moth got in your closet. That sucks. Maybe like I was debobbling my sweater and I put a hole in my own sweater. Like that's something that I should be able to mend on my own. Like, again, it's this idea of taking care of what you already have so that it lasts longer, so that you don't have to keep spending money and like you can really get the most out of what you love. It also means that you then have that money to buy things that are higher quality or that just are really a lot more fun, right? You can kind of build a big closet. I'm not a big fan of like the minimalist closet. That just doesn't work for me. I'm somebody who collects a lot over time. I still have a pretty small closet at the end of the day, but my friends are always like, you must have a huge closet because you do so much, you're never wearing the same thing. It's like, well, I do wear the same thing a lot, but also like, it's because I know how to style my closet. So that's a long ramble about nothing. Tip number 9. We probably could have put this in with like the reselling of your clothing. If you're selling your clothing and somebody else is buying it, you can also buy other things for your closet. So I haven't personally done this a lot. Mostly I've done this with handbags. So all of my super luxury handbags are bought secondhand. Why? Because they are definitely not worth the retail price that I would pay for them in store. They're probably not worth the price I paid for them secondhand, but at least I'm paying closer to the true value of them. I buy super luxury pieces because I enjoy the designs of them, and because, I do sort of buy into the brand a little bit and all the things that come with that, but I just enjoy them. Other things that I've looked at buying secondhand are certain designer pieces that I really, really want. So I have looked at buying a Tom Brown skirt secondhand because I really want a Tom Brown skirt, but I just haven't found one that's right for me yet. I love vintage shopping when I travel. So I have a couple of shirts that I bought when I was in Lisbon. I bought those secondhand. Those are great. They're unique. You're going to find things that other people don't have. Like, buying secondhand can be really, really fun and a great way to express your style and not look like everybody else. Okay, so tip number 10 is to look often and buy on sale, which is kind of a 1A, 1B or 10A, 10B, but you get it. I have my shopping list and I look a lot on a bunch of my go-to websites and generally on the internet to try and see what is available and if anything has gone on sale. So again, this is where having that shopping list is really helpful, because if you're looking all the time and you don't have a shopping list, that can be a problem, especially if you're somebody who's an impulse purchaser. Like, don't do that if that is like you. But having a shopping list and knowing what I'm looking for and routinely looking for that on the websites and stuff like that means that I can kind of grab the best deal. And I'm all about a deal. Like, I really almost never pay full price for anything. Also, like, because I'm looking regularly, I'm identifying pieces that I really do like. Again, like the Tom Brown skirt. I tried it on a couple of months ago. I know I really like it. I know I'm not willing to pay it full price. I probably shouldn't even pay the discounted price, but that's a different story. And so I check every couple of, probably like once a week, maybe twice a week, I check and see, has it gone on sale? Has it gone on sale? Has it gone on sale? And I also look and see, like, what is the stock like at the different stores, because maybe the size I need isn't widely available. I'm not a fan of paying full price for something, but if I really like something, really, really like something, and it has stuck with me and it's within a reasonable price range, then sometimes I will pick it up if it's getting really low on stock and I'm worried about it not lasting until the sale. But pretty much I almost always buy everything on sale. Never buy your basics full price. Like, you don't need to. You can almost always find them on sale. Like, don't buy a black turtleneck sweater full price unless there's something truly magical about it. My friend moved to New York recently and he like messaged me one day and was like, I just bought like a bunch of things, and he told me how much, and I was like, you're an idiot. Like, you did not need to spend this much. And I immediately sent him like 3 sweaters that were basically the same thing or more interesting for like half of what he paid. He was paying for convenience, and if you are that person and you can afford to do it, like, I understand that calculation. But if you have the list in mind and you're looking regularly and you know what you want, you can almost always get things on sale, which means, again, you're spending less money, you can get higher quality things, and it's like, again, this virtuous circle. That means you have more money to spend on more things elsewhere. So you know, make sure you're within budget, make sure you're smart about it. But I do encourage people to look often, as long as they have a shopping list and as long as they, you know, aren't impulsive buyers. So anyway. Okay, well, inevitably when my filming camera dies, I know I've been rambling on for too long. That was a lot of tips. I hope it was helpful, but you know your style, know your closet, take time to play with it, take care of what you have, and be literate about fabrics, how to take care of things, and then just have a shopping list and then be on the lookout for things on sale, because you don't need to spend a lot of money to do this. I mean, you have to spend some money, but you don't have to spend as much as you might think. So, all right, I'll see you later. Bye.